So, what I'm reading today is The Caribbean Writer, Volume 32. I've been reading this in bits and pieces for a while now. It was actually the issue right after the 2017 hurricane season, which I would say for the Caribbean was the most tumultuous period before right now, COVID 19. There are comparisons that can be made to hurricanes in terms of everything being scarce and everything being uncertain. And so I came across this piece in my reading that seemed of this time in some ways. Island Spring 2 by Daisy Holder Lafond. And then you cry a lot, like a child after your mother beats the living daylight out of you. You feel betrayed because, after all, it wasn't an adversary who pummeled you. It was your dearly beloved mother, who has claimed to love you assiduously, who has beaten you unjustly and is hard to fathom. And each time you look at the welts on your skin, you cry. That's how it feels after a hurricane, like an undeserved thrashing you cannot reciprocate. So you cry, days after, months after, when you look at the remnants. Household items amassed on street corners for trash removal, trees disfigured with amputations and lacerations, emaciated royal palms standing silently embarrassed, landscape a victim of domestic violence, people subdued, waiting quietly to buy food or ice or gas, off-island policemen guarding banks and supermarkets, off-island linemen helping to restore power, U.S. military distributing meals ready to eat, homes demolished covered with blue tarps, shuttered businesses, battered buildings, closed schools. You cry. You cry a whole lot. I'm assuming from some of the imagery in this that the author is in the U.S. Virgin Islands, or maybe somewhere like Puerto Rico. I should have checked that before I started reading. Um, yeah, she's in St. Thomas. So that explains the U.S. military references. A line that jumped out at me was people subdued, waiting quietly to buy food or ice or gas, which is a reality after a hurricane. And the other day when I ventured out um, on a rare trip out to pick up some essentials, that's kind of what I saw out there. So many lines, of course, with the 6 feet and more distancing and the face masks, which is not something of my lifetime. Um, it was sobering. And as much as I'd been inside for so long and was itching to get out, I couldn't wait to get back home because, your skin just feels prickly and it itches. This idea of being out there and not knowing the danger, everything feeling so uncertain. So I suppose the hurricane is a sort of apt comparison, but really and truly nothing can compare to this moment that we're in. That said, since I'm here, I thought I would read um, what I submitted, what the piece of mind that was accepted for this issue. Well, not the whole thing. We don't have time for all that. But I will read an excerpt. And I didn't plan this because this was going to be a live, so we'll see how it goes. Then a bomb went off. I don't know what a bomb going off sounds or feels like, but the louvers on both sides of the door exploded inward, just like in the movies, loud enough to make an echoing in my head and leave a ringing in my ear, and all the things we'd been trying to keep out with our bodies against the door came rushing in on either side of us. That it was just wind and water didn't seem possible. It was too much wind, too much water, too much malice mixed in. The children screamed and I could hear them knocking things over in the dark. I flashed on images of them bloodied or worse, yet blown away, and tried to scream at them to stay in the bedroom, stay on the bed where it was safe. The bedroom at least had shutters. But my heart was in my throat, and my words had to squeeze their way out around it. When my voice did come out, the wind grabbed it and threw it away. I don't know if it was true anyway, if they were safer there than out here, if anywhere was safe. It was a small blessing that the flamboyant hadn't yet crashed in on the kitchen to leave us naked to the outside. I couldn't hear for the howling and for what felt like a river running between my ears. I wanted to touch my ears, to feel it, if there was blood pouring out. It felt like it, like I was bleeding, but I didn't think I'd been cut. I felt for sure I was going to bleed out there, pressed up against the door. My firstborn, the first one to tear me open with her love and her neediness, bleeding out beside me because of my arrogance, my ignorance. My fault. A wooden house with no shutters and styling off like I didn't need help, when even without Hurricane Clarice to remind me otherwise, I was being crushed under the burdens of trying to walk with my back straight while my feet hurt, and 5 children hung off me, needing me. And I cried, my tears lost to the howling and the darkness. But through it all, neither of us let up, and I wanted to hug her like I did when it was just me and her, my firstborn baby. I could hear her breathing hitching next to me, her breath hitching next to me faintly, feel her body press into me even as she pressed more urgently into the door. For her, I had to keep pushing against God's self even if I couldn't feel my arms anymore. Dawn was breaking, that much obvious by the gray quality of the light. By the time the force of the wind pushing against the door, the force we pushed wearily against, calf deep in water and doing our best not to get cut by the broken glass, scattered like bullet shells, weakened. The last time check I'd heard before the radio crackled to quietness. Quietness was 11:30 p.m. Was it possible we'd only been here for 6 hours? Was this what they meant by time moving more slowly in hell? I looked around and realized that we were still there. Everything we were wearing heavy and damp, everything in us sore and bruised, but there. And I'll stop there for now because it seems a good point to kind of make this point that this too shall pass. We are here now, and hopefully most of us will make it through this, and we will be here after, and we will have so many stories to tell. Um, it's a sobering time, but we will get through this. And that's my little what I'm reading today for now. Have a good day.